Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's Sensei Pink and I'm coming back to you guys just to recap week 31 through 33 of my Webtoons weekly review. Now, as some of you might already know via Instagram, I postponed week 31 and week 32, I think. Just because I've just been so busy with work, literally nonstop, and it's just been tough to squeeze this in. So therefore, I'm just going to do like light recaps of the episodes that I missed, and hopefully that's enough for you guys. I know it's a lot for me, but let's get right into it. Starting off, we're gonna hit down to earth, and we're gonna start with episode 104. Now, in episode 104, Zeta begins to ask Cade, like, if he's ready for her to move back in. And essentially, he's just like, no, Zeta, I need this. I still need my me time, just like you're having that girl time that you need with Susie. Cade then brings Zeta back to Susie's house. Susie's still kind of in a panic because she's like, I don't know where you went. And, why would you fly off? It could be dangerous and whatnot. And she promises her that, like, anytime she wants to go see Cade ever again, like in the middle of the night, she's just gonna do it. So Cade leaves, and as he's leaving, he gets the feels, feeling a little bit of what Zeta said to him about like wanting to see him. And Zeta also gets in bed and she starts telling Susie that she's kind of ready to move back in with Cade. Now, flashing forward to the next day, Cade is trying to walk into his workplace. He sees Delilah, and as she like sort of catches him looking at her, he looks away, and turns out she's talking to Stace, that snake ass Stace, and he's just like talking about Zeta being the new model, and essentially telling her to just watch her back. And being the stuck-up pink bitch that she is, she's just like, tell me about it. I don't need to worry. So that's that. Now, moving on to episode 105, our favorite group of Ethan, Zeta, Cade, and Susie are all out to eat. And they're talking about Zeta's upcoming photo shoot. Although everyone's excited, and even Cade is excited, he's just worried about, like, her blowing up and essentially like it making it extremely hard to hide her secret. As they continue to talk, basically Cade starts talking about like how he usually doesn't like his big groups, and as that convo dies down, Ethan is happy to have the whole group united, and Cade, who isn't really a people person, is taking in the fact that he appreciates being with the group today, and everyone just sort of calls him out and is just like, no, it's because Zeta's here. Now, speaking of hanging out, they get on the topic of the anime convention or whatever convention that they're going to, and they all start getting into, cosplay and what they should wear and what they should do and yada yada yada. Now, as they leave, Cade basically tells Zay, like, he thinks that she's gonna do great. And flashing forward to the next day, Susie takes Zay to the studio for the photo shoot. And of course, the first person she sees is that snake ass man, Stace. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, I just hate Stace. Like, I do. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I do. Moving on. So now catching up to this week, in episode 106, we pick up with Susie, and she's waiting for Zeta in the lobby, but suddenly she sees her sister out the window, and I guess she just goes to look. We then flash over to Zay, who meets up with Stace, and basically he gives her the whole rundown of the studio of like, right, this is the photographer, this is what's gonna happen, and eventually leads her to hair and makeup. Now, getting to hair and makeup, Stace introduces her to someone named Sherry, who will be taking care of her today, and the two head in and they get started. As her and Sherry begin talking, Zay just can't help but wonder, like, she thinks that she saw this girl before. After she gets Zay's hair and makeup all prepped, she whips out this outfit, and it turns out that Stace's snake ass decided that he's gonna choose some lingerie for Zay's first shoot. And that's how we end this episode. Now, you guys, Stace, I hate that man. Like, he's getting on the same level as Apollo, and he's not even like doing the same shit. That's what's making me mad. Like, Stace needs to cut it. Like, wrap it up. It's done. It's over. Like, let this shit go. You're not going to be with Zay. Let it go. And what kind of pervert are you that you want to, you know what? He want to see her in lingerie on the first shoot. Like, come on, man. Do better. Pookie, write him out this story. I ain't playing with you. Honestly, though, I can't wait to see how he gets his. Cause I already know that Stace, got the S name. He's already on his snake shit. And I just can't wait till the end of the story or when he gets his karma or his due. And I hope it's by Kate. Alright, so let's move on to Suitor Armor. Moving on to Suitor Armor, I just realized that there's literally only like one episode that was released, because it's not even just Suitor Armor, but a lot of webtoons like Lore Olympus and a few others are going on break. I unfortunately just have not gotten a chance to notice that because I've just been so busy. So I guess we're going to cover episode 73 of Suitor Armor, since that's the only one out. I thought more came out, didn't, so that's what we're gonna cover. So picking up from the previous episode when they finally reached Lord Goldborn, Kiersey and Lucia bring him outside and basically tell him, like, having the sunshine on you is what he needs. That's what Kiersey's really saying. Although Kiersey wants everyone to go for a walk, Lord Goldborn is just like, no, I'm just cool sitting here. So she's just like, you know what? I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm gonna go pick some flowers because my room just isn't bright enough. And Lucia, can you keep watch of him? So this then presents the perfect opportunity for them to have a little chit chat about the giant elephant in the room. And Lucia basically just cuts some of the small chat that he tries to put in. And it's just like, why would you send me to that castle knowing damn well it was dangerous? Like, he didn't even give her no heads up or nothing. And I don't know what Lord Goldburn is thinking, but he's just like, I thought you understood that. And she's just like, hell no, I didn't. I did not know that. I did not know that people hated fairies like this. And to top it all off, Kiersey hates fairies too. So, like, you didn't think that would hurt me? The way, like, hearing her talk about them and yada, yada, yada. Like, Lord Goldburn had to do better. Like, really. They then discuss, like, who found out that she's a fairy. And she doesn't tell him specifically who does. But she does reveal, like, a few of her close friends have found out. Especially, it's a big secret. It's kind of really hard to hide. After going back and forth a bit and also going back, Lord Goldburn basically tells Lucia that even though Kiersey doesn't like fairies or talks about fairies like they're monsters, she still would accept Lucia despite what she is. Lord Goldburn then tops this whole thing off by saying he treated her like his own daughter despite what she was. I'm sorry, what she is. This causes her to just like slap his hand away because he's like reaching for her, and he's just like, she's just like, you are not my father. My father's died the night when you found. What I need to know from you right now is what happened the day that you found me, because she remembers some of it, but she needs some help filling in the blanks, and she tells him that Quinn did help her fill in some of those blanks. Now, although Lord Goldburn would probably prefer for her to forget this whole incident, she's just like, you know what? Don't ask me to forget. You are going to tell me. And we then end this episode off with him promising that he's going to tell her tonight. My thoughts on this? Honestly, Lord Goldburn, he's not a trash bag. I feel like he's just very ignorant and he doesn't want to take responsibility for the things that come with being king. Honestly, like, being a king means that somehow, some way, you're gonna have blood on your hand. Somehow, some way, you know, you're gonna have not maybe these kinds of situations, but these kinds of situations. And I think that not even just as a king, but as a person, he chooses to live in this oblivious sort of world, or just ignoring certain things for his own sanity or like peace of mind. And unfortunately, Lucia can't. I mean, she's the thing that not everyone in the world, but essentially, you know, humans hate. And she just can't look past it or ignore those horrible things the same way that he can. So, I mean, he's not a trash bag, but in the same way, he's not the best person. And I would, as much as I'd like to knock him down a peg, I would say, I think maybe your typical, like any regular person, maybe in his situation might do the same thing and just choose to ignore the bad and stuff as long as they live peacefully. And it's not even as much of a wager, but it's just like, you know, you just can't think about those things. You rather just think about the good, or, you know, deflect away from it. So I get it. Alright guys, so moving on to the Kiss Bet, starting off with episode 122, I'm honestly just going to insert my video from last week, the previous week. I accidentally recorded my review for that one way in advance, and yeah, I'm just going to insert it either here, or maybe at the end, or maybe even just as a separate whole video itself. So just keep that in mind. So moving past that, I'm gonna move on to episode 123, and let's just skim through that. Now, as Sarah Lynn is basically trying to prove herself as being the lovely girlfriend and just trying to be the best she can to in some way prove Oliver wrong, she essentially spends the whole day trying to do nice things for him, like pick up his pencil or give him this or give him that. Like, it's a little annoying, but hey, Sarah's just trying to be the best girlfriend she can be. As Sarah Lynn is trying to be in some way, I don't want to say a pick-me because that's their boyfriend and girlfriend technically, but just trying to show up and show out. Oliver is just thinking about the whole situation and their relationship, and he's in class and he's just like, you know what, I don't even know why I'm thinking about this. This is just exhausting. As he's thinking about this, he sees them walk by and instantly starts acting like an angry cat and kind of shoos everyone away, because while he's in his process of thinking, the teacher is basically telling people to group up for a project, and they want to group up with Oliver because he's smart, so they're like sort of surrounding him, and he doesn't even realize really. So his usual friend comes up and is just like, good job, like scaring everyone away. Let's go have lunch together. And Oliver, basically being really, really pouty, is just like, no thanks. So his friend is just like, okay, maybe I'll save you a seat outside, you know, have fun in here, I guess. He then just starts thinking, he's just like, you know, I just don't know how to feel. He just doesn't want to deal with his feelings. And he then begins to open up the lunch that Sarah made him and realizes that he actually has some cutie heart-shaped ones with a note that says, you're cute. And we end the episode off with him blushing real hard, y'all. Now, as much as I love to see Oliver blushing, unfortunately I have to keep moving on. And moving into episode 124, we see Sarah Lynn basically coaxing Joe to open his lunch, and he opens it up to see the little piggies that she made Oliver beforehand. She's just like, oh no, you got the wrong lunch. She then runs towards where Oliver is, and she sees Oliver Oliver coming down the stairs, and she begins asking him like if he already had lunch, and he's just like, oh, I already ate it. Now, just trying not to even mention that it was for Joe originally, she begins asking about a random note that was left in the lunch, and Oliver is just basically like, you mean the one where you called me cute? And these two end up going back and forth because Sarah's just like, that wasn't supposed to be for you. You're not. And he's just like, am I not cute? And she's just like, no, you actually are cute. So our boy Oliver ends up blushing, especially because she's just like, no, you have your own charm. We then end this episode off with her grabbing his arm, and I guess in some way to maybe try and give him the lunch that actually belonged to him. Now, first off, Sarah, you think he's cute. Just stop playing. Stop playing. Because if I was you, I'd be just like that meme when it's just like, I'm done with the conversation now. Sit back down. I'm sat. I'd be sat, okay? Oliver tells me to sit. I'm fucking sitting. Yo, I'm sitting down. I'm sitting down faster than the speed of light, okay? Alright guys, so picking up from last episode that I did, which is Lore Olympus episode 205, Persephone started getting giant, and just like we was going to be on some Attack on Titan shit, she is now a Titan and she's ready to take on King Kronos. We then start this episode with like a newscaster basically telling the whole situation. She's just like, I'm Jill and I'm in the underworld, and me and my partner are in a helicopter, and we are watching, Persephone, the new queen of the underworld, battle it out with the recent escapee from Tartarus, ex-King Kronos. Now, during this fight, you just see Persephone like whipping water, doing like it's I don't know what she's doing, but as she's doing this, Kronos is just like, this is your last chance to join me. And as she's just like creating whatever she is, he even just like is telling her like, you're nothing but a B-grade goddess. And not just that, a victim and a broken victim. Now, after having like a temper tantrum, Persephone begins whipping out the staff of the underworld. I don't know what you call it, but she's just like, what? Look at this thing. Isn't it a beauty? I love it. And just begins to throw around the fact that, Kronos will never ever hold that thing because this realm, the underworld, is hers. Now thinking that he still has the upper hand, Kronos goes in to choke Persephone, but she's just like, what? Like, we're not going to do this today. So she opens her mouth and a million bees come flying out at him. And after excusing herself, she, in her bad bitch form, just tells him like, I have a surprise for you. She tells him that she has a lot of talent, and because she's almost positive that he wouldn't want to return back to Tartarus, she's bringing it to him. Now, we then see the image of Tartarus like finally walking and coming, and it's giant as hell. And she then tells him like, I know you're a fan of swallowing people whole, so I figured you would want to try it yourself. After Tartarus grabs Kronos and swallows him, she's just like, bon appetit. She then thanks Tartarus for coming and helping her out, and he even, I don't want to say he or she, whatever it is, it's just like, will you come visit me? And she gives it a kiss on the head, and she's just like, of course I will. Let us return home. Now, as both of them begin to fade away, Persephone, she begins getting smaller again, and she begins falling out the air. And as she's falling, we finally get to see our blue boy, Hades. He swoops her right out the air, saving her, and the two finally share a long-awaited kiss. He then mentions that she ate the pomegranate, and she's just like, what, I did. I guess you're stuck with me. And we begin flashing over to all the other people who've been affected by Kronos getting loose, such as, aside from people put to sleep, we even get a shot of Zeus with Ares, helping him out, because we all know he was impaled last episode or a few episodes ago, whatever it was. Everyone's waking up from their comas and whatnot. And we end this episode with some normalcy finally happening, people waking up, and Hades and Persephone falling asleep in each other's arms. Now guys, I am so happy that our bad bitch Percy came out on top, because I was so nervous that Apollo or someone else was going to interfere. Guys, I was so nervous that someone who shouldn't interfere would interfere, but I'm happy that person did not. But what makes me a little nervous is the fact that before Kronos got swallowed, he's basically stated that that was not going to be the last time they saw him. So I'm pretty sure that somehow, some way, one of those sun gods that we all hate is going to help get him out. They're going to do something that basically jeopardizes everyone. I don't really know what to think that they would do, because again, as I said before, the point of Apollo getting Persephone is so that he could be king, and I don't know why they would need him, but I definitely think that maybe there'll come a time where maybe Apollo I don't know, like offers up the other gods. I'm sorry, I just saw a fly. Like, I don't know if he's able to defeat Zeus and everyone else, and basically like, you're King Kronos, you can have them, you can have their power. I don't know if that'll make him into the being he once was, and he's gonna have Persephone. I don't know. Alright guys, so moving on to Sub-Zero, we're gonna kick off with episode 145, and I'm just gonna skim the ones that I missed. I always feel like Sub-Zero is very, it always has a lot going on, so it's always pretty hard to summarize, but long story short, the captain, Reyna, and Aaron are still flirting. The general and Misty are low-key flirting, but the general lets Misty do whatever she wants and basically sacrifices the prisoner that they got with them. Clove has a dream about finding the source of the blue azure dragon, and when she wakes up, she's still in Cairo's arms, and they get ready to go. After they begin leaving the town, they thank Miss Hina, and as the whole, royal procession or whoever begins leaving, you could see a Jade Viper mask in a bush, obviously following them. Night falls, and they stop at a spring, and Lady Kaharis basically wants to take a dip, and in some way to tease Cairo after making her upset, she decides that it's time for her to take a dip right in front of him. Not Kaharis, Clove does. And we end this episode off with what looks like Cairo to be falling into the water with her, especially in shock, Okay, see a beautiful lady, not dressed, you gonna fall in the water. Now, picking up from last episode 146 starts off with Cairo coming back up from the water after he fell in, and Clove begins reminding him that him falling in is kind of payback for the first day that they met. Now, Clove decides that she's gonna leave. She has some matters to attend to, and moving the story along, Cairo goes to his tent, and he's actually surprised to find Clove ready to go to bed. As she's in his tent, she just begins reminiscing and going about everything, and in the end she thanks him, and she's happy that he is her husband, and he begins hugging her, and they just sort of begin getting into it, not deeply, but they're just like, thankful for each other and happy in each other's arms. We then move along to Aaron and Reyna, and the two essentially begin talking about how they eventually became Crimson soldiers. Eventually, these two begin thinking about the two people that they love, whom are together. And Eren mentions the fact that she became a soldier because of the scar on her face, which kind of doesn't add up because she's really beautiful. Now, taking what he just said and in shock, you know, she's just like, do you mean that? And Eren's like, yeah, I do. Like, you're really beautiful. And these two almost kiss. I mean, almost kiss. Like, they're right here. And right before they do, Eren is just like, no, I can't. I just actually have so much going on my mind. Like, I really can't do this. And Rain is just like, you know what? You're a coward. Like, you should already know that, you know, trying to even remotely pursue Clove at this point is a waste of time. And as she's going off, Eren grabs her, kisses her, and even after she pushes him off, he's just like, you know, tell me, General, you know, who's more pitiful now? And the two of them begin getting hot and heavy. We then end this episode off with Clove sort of waking up with the Azure Dragon, I guess, taking over her. And as she tries to leave camp, the soldiers are just like, where you going? And she's just like, shut the hell up. The Jade Vipers are on her ass and they're about to make their move. And Cairo wakes up and is wondering where the hell she went. Now, guys, since I'm sort of at the end of my day, I'm going to keep this last review short, even though this is literally the season finale of Sub-Zero. It's just so much. So let's get into episode, I think 146 or 147. So picking up from last episode, everyone is looking for Clove after she just went full on Azure Dragon taking over her body type situation. And as she's sort of sleepwalking, she comes to see this vision of someone who she thinks is her mother, but she realizes is actually the first Azure Dragon. Essentially, the original Azure Dragon, she warns her that people are after the tomb where the last of her power remains, and that because countless people have died in the dragon form, made her grow weaker, and she needs to not get killed in her dragon form, or essentially that is it for the bloodline. That's it. As Clove sort of wakes up and wonders where she is, everyone else is sort of going after her, and as they're in pursuit, the Jade Vipers hop out of nowhere and start an ambush. Now, with Caharis and the captain all together, Caharis actually almost gets hit with an arrow, and Cairo ends up pushing her out the way and taking the arrow to the chest or back, wherever. Now, with such a poisoned arrow, he begins stumbling, and right before they aim for him again, suddenly Clove comes and she shields him and gets hit with the arrow as well. After she gets hit, he instantly, I think she only gets hit by one arrow or so. He grabs her, turns, and he jumps, and they fall into the water. Now, underwater and reflecting in these brief moments that she's basically lost everything and she's about to lose everything again, our girl Clove, finally she gets some horns on her head. She's ready for war, and she begins to shift. She shifts into what the original Azure Dragon was, and we end this episode off with her out of the water with Cairo right in front of her, and she's ready to protect him. And that's just it for this season. Wow, guys, I'm so happy that we finally got to see Clove shift somewhat. I don't know if this counts as a full shift, but it's something. Okay, I'm happy we finally got something. Honestly, I really don't know what's going to happen. It's I want to root for, I root for them to win, but in Sub-Zero, sometimes they don't really get their way. Sometimes, the Jade Vipers get their way, or vice versa. So I never really know. I mean, I'm assuming that this is going to be one of those moments where she actually does come through and saves everyone. And again, they just have to watch it back till, you know, something like this happens again, or I don't really know. But we're gonna have to wait till next season. So with that being said, I'm gonna wait till next season, and I'm gonna think about what is going to happen. I mean, we know the Jade Viper's motives. We don't know why they want to get rid of the dragons. I mean, to me, there's just no point. Especially if one of them seems to have power himself and wants to use it. So honestly, Sub-Zero is just like one of these webtoons that just like kind of doesn't have an exact thing, and it just throws me a bit for a loop. So I can't wait to see what we get next season, and I'll tune in then. All right guys, so that was it for this week. I'm sorry that you guys had to have this like giant compilation of everything, but long story short, you know, being an adult isn't easy, and being an adult who's growing her career is not easy as well. So I appreciate all of the love and support that some of you guys give me. I'm not a big channel. I know that, you know, I have some viewers who come, go, watch, or occasionally check in, and I'm just happy that you do, whenever you do. And yes, please stay tuned for the next one, and I hope to see you there. So that's it for today. Go follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and any other social site that I have, and hit that like and subscribe button if you'd like to see more of me, Sensei Pink.